Welcome to the P's and Q's podcast. I'm your host, Quinay Foray, and I'm living my best life. And I want to help you live your best life. Today's episode is brought to you by The Good Shit Company. The Good Shit Co. makes an herbal cleanse that detoxifies your body while aligning your chakras. The Good Shit Company believes in good shit in and good shit out. Check them out at thegoodshitco.com or in the description below. On today's episode, I want to share my divorce journey with you and how I'm healing through it. But first, 3 fun facts. Number 1, my daddy plays the drums for Smokey Robinson. My dad's been his drummer since I was 2 years old, and I am older than 2. Number 2, I only have 1 bone that I ever broke, and it was my pinky toe. Number 3, I have an MBA in finance. All right, so let's get into the juicy stuff. We know you came here for the tea. You want to hear all the details, and I'm happy to be at this place in my life where I'm feel safe sharing. It's been a really grand healing journey that has brought me to this place, and I'm really grateful for so many of you who have helped me, lifted me, guided me, supported me through this journey where I feel safe to be vulnerable about what has been going on with me. So, rewind, origin story, talk about how we came to even be. And at the time I was working at MySpace, and it was one of my dear friends who worked there. It was her birthday. And she's like, we got to go to the club. We got to celebrate. And I was like, no, girl, I don't really do clubs. And she's like, well, you have to come because it's my birthday. And I was like, all right. So we go to the club. I'm on the dance floor. I got my high heels on and my short dress. And all of a sudden, I'm literally falling to the ground in slow motion. You know when that slow motion hits you? And about a foot from the ground, I get caught. And I was falling forward, so I looked over my shoulder, and I said, wow, he's like really, really handsome. He's super cute. I was so embarrassed, but I was also so caught off guard because he was so handsome. So I said, why did you push me? And he was like, I didn't push you, I caught you. I was like, but I think you pushed me. And he said, well, let me take you to my table and make it up to you. And he walked me to his table and he poured me a drink. And I told him to make it stronger. And he was like, wow, this girl. And he asked me for my number. And he told me, I usually wait 3 days before I call a girl. And I said, oh, well, I'm going to need you to call me tomorrow at noon. And you better believe it. That phone rang at 11:59. And we went on our first date a couple days after that. And it was just a really magical experience. And there's interesting because, well, after the phone number exchange, I went back with my girls. He went back with his guys. And there was a point where I was like leaving from the restroom. And then I saw him in the hallway. And then we started dancing. And then we started kissing. And as we kissed, I was like just looking up at the disco ball, and it stopped. The time literally stopped. And I know I was drinking, but still, the time stopped. And I never mentioned this to him or anyone else. I just thought I was lit because I was. Years down the line, we moved in together after 2 months. We dated for 5 years before we got engaged. We got married at year 7. And it was literally probably around year 7 or 8 when he was telling someone the story of how we met. And he described everything I described. And then he got to the point where we were walking down the hallway and we kissed. And he said that time stopped. And I was like, what? I do believe that we've lived multiple lives in physical bodies. I know I am old as fuck. And I know that him and I have traveled through many lifetimes together. And that moment of us reconnecting in this life was extremely significant. And I value everything that we've got to experience in this life together. The journey we've been on has made me an even more powerful person, an even better version of myself, even though I had to go through the fire to get to this place. But I am grateful for this entire journey and experience, for the love that we've shared, for the growth that we got to experience together. And I wouldn't be who I am without all of that. Through relationships, as we all know, they're challenging. They face challenges. And I think it's important that we set boundaries for the things that we require in our relationships. It's important for us to honor ourselves. And I made a promise to myself that I was going to keep. And I keep my promises to everyone else. But I made a promise to myself, and it said that I will no longer allow my boundaries to be pushed, and that I require what I require, and it's okay. And if this can't be met with this specific person, that's okay too. But it wasn't that simple. It took me a long time to get to the place of even establishing that promise to myself. And when I was faced with the moment of having to actually go through with it, it was extremely difficult. I cried every day. I cried every night. I screamed to the heavens. I didn't know how I was going to dig myself out of this hole. And my heart hurt so deeply. I was experiencing a lot of loss at the same time, so it was extremely compounded with this moment. I just had to surrender all of it to God because I couldn't even function as a legitimate human being in this life. I lost it. But I knew that I wanted to be in alignment with who I am as a being, and I wanted to operate from a place of love and a place of grace. And I remember the week after the separation, I had asked him to leave our house, and my girls came over to help me, hold me, let me cry, hold space for me. And I'd gone and got all these boxes and tape and Sharpies. And I was like, we gonna pack his shit. And we did. And they were like, wow, you're gonna pack his stuff in boxes? He doesn't even deserve this level of care. And I said, you're right. But I'm going to operate based on who I am and the alignment that I am. And just because I feel like someone hurt me doesn't mean that I have to match that energy and do things to hurt them. That's not who I am. That's not in alignment with my values. And so we're gonna put this shit in boxes. Although they didn't let me label the boxes, so it was a fair compromise. I always knew that I wanted to move through this transition with love and grace because that's who I am. When you're going through something challenging or hurtful, it's so easy to want to match people with their energy. But this is a perfect opportunity for you to go deeper within yourself. Go deeper with your alignment and find that place of love where you balance and you center and stay there. It's a powerful energy, and it also helps you really double down on who you truly are. Now, I say that, and I know it's not easy. Like I said, I cried every day. I was in such a dark place. I didn't know how I was going to get out. But God, I talk to God every day. Every day I ask for God's help and grace and mercy and strength and healing. I screamed it to the heavens. I prayed for myself, and I prayed for him too. I pray for him still every day because we're both still healing on this journey. And God went with me and met me everywhere I went. This one Sunday, I was so broken and I was slightly hungover because I drank too much, because I cried too much, and I was on my way home and I wanted some cachapas. And I felt like it was going to soak up the alcohol, so I found a Venezuelan coffee shop here. I think it was in Glendale. And I stopped there and I'd order my food on the way. And I walk into the coffee shop and I just sat in the corner to wait for my food because it wasn't ready yet. And I was just slumped over. And there was this really cute family and they were sitting at another table. There was like a husband, a wife, and they had 2 sons and a daughter, if I can remember. And I just started eavesdropping on their conversation. And their conversation was talking about love and trust and betrayal and forgiveness and boundaries. All of these key words that were literally my life at the time. I was so flabbergasted, so caught off guard. I was like, this is wild. Like, this is God. And before I walked out the door, I stopped them and I said, I'm sure you don't know this, but I wanted to tell you that I know that you are God. You are God speaking through me. And I'm going through the hardest time in my life right now. And I just want you to know how grateful I am for you and for your message. And I hear you clearly. And I thank you. And they grabbed my hands. The wife grabbed my right hand. The husband grabbed my left hand. And they bowed their head and then the children locked hands and they created a prayer circle with me. And they just started praying for me. I mean, the most fervent, beautiful prayer in the middle of this Venezuelan coffee shop. I am overwhelmed with emotion, gratitude. I just surrendered to receive the divine blessing that they shared with me in that moment. God is so good. And it's so many experiences like that occurred for me. And the key point in that is recognizing it. God is always sending his angels and divine wisdom and messages to us. If we are open and available to hear them, we shall. We shall hear them. One of the greatest healers in life is happiness and joy. That energy, that frequency, that fun, loving place, that state where endless possibilities exist. Intuitively, I knew for myself that I needed to acknowledge that place of joy. If there was something I wanted to do, somewhere I wanted to go, something I wanted to eat, I did it. I went for it. Decadent, first class. It made me happy, and so I did it. And I'm encouraging you, when you find yourself in a place of despair, darkness, sadness, look for the light. Look for those things, those places, those people that lift you up, that make you happy, that bring you back to your even state. I was in Mexico, honey. I was in Miami. I was just on the beach. For me, the ocean is a great healing body. Went to Mexico. Swam naked in the ocean. Let's get it. You know intuitively what's healing for you. And it doesn't matter what anybody else thinks. Whether they understand or not, it's not their journey. It's your journey. Go. Do it. Live. Laugh. Dance. Sing. Be creative. Express yourself. Have fun. That was a big part of how I got to come full circle and fortify with my growth. Through that joy, you'll learn to just let things fall off. And a big part of healing through anything is to let it go. So many of us hold on to our trauma, to our drama. For what? The only thing that exists is the present. The past, nah. Future, please. Now is a gift. That's why it's called the present. I am extraordinarily grateful for the years and the love and the travels and the growth and the fun and the sadness and everything that came with that beautiful relationship. And I give it to God. I know that it was for my good, for my growth, because that's how I see it. I encourage you to look for the growth, look for the good, and let it go. Don't get stuck in the past. The past doesn't even exist. Let it go. Thank you so much for being here with me on this journey. I'm so grateful for y'all. I love y'all so much. For those of you who are here for the first time, please find me on all the platforms at Quene Foray and boom, hit that subscribe button. We do this every Monday and we do our meditations every other Wednesday. Thank you. I love you.